that Hillary Clinton paid for it and it was all fabricated. Now, normally when that situation happens, what does the president do? He goes and admonishes Hillary Clinton for creating all of these fake narratives in order to beat a political opponent. But that's not what they did. President Barack Obama, even after he received documentation from the FBI and CIA, he got someone to write out a memo and say, okay, you guys, now let's basically fabricate something stating that President Trump did have a relationship with Russia. That was the crime. The crime was that a sitting president of the United States, because at that time he was still president, a sitting president of the United States created, manufactured what was a conspiracy.
Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today, Warriors. We have to talk about Black folks in America speaking out against former President Barack Hussein Obama. There are some things that they noticed after his first term. They went back and looked at things and they just recalled not getting anything in return for their vote. That's what I'll be talking with you today on Chat with me, Linda B. All right, Warriors, you know what to do. Don't forget to give me that thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Select all notifications so you never miss the video. Stick around to the very end. That really helps my channel grow. Now, let's get into it. All right. So I'm looking around right on the internet and I am noticing a number of Black Americans speaking out against Barack Obama. There's a lot of policies that they were looking for him to champion and really get behind and get past. A lot of things that they were expecting him to do, even if it just meant an executive order, even though the next president could have rescinded that executive order. But Black Americans did not even get that. And that's what I'm going to be showing you. And people really are giving some of them are giving historical nuggets. And you're like, wait a minute. And this next woman, the first woman I'm about to show you, she's talking about the things that Barack Obama was him and Hillary Clinton were doing behind the scenes, trying to make sure that Donald Trump had a horrible presidency. So I want you guys to listen to this, comment below, and let me know what you think.
Hi. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible because I keep hearing these people, especially Democrats, saying, well, this deal that Tulsi Gabbard is saying that President Obama manufactured evidence in order to try to prove that President Trump had a relationship with Russia to try to change the 2016 election. Anyway, I'm going to make this as quick and easy as possible. This is what happened. You know that President Trump was running against Hillary Clinton in the 2016 election. Hillary Clinton paid for someone what they called a Steele dossier. It was Christopher Steele. She paid for him to write this dossier about President Trump. In that dossier, they lied and said that President Trump was working with Russia so that he could circumvent the electorate and go and really rig the 2016 election. Okay, Hillary paid for that. They told at that time you had Brennan, who was the director of the CIA, and you had Comey, who was the director of the FBI. Both of them told President Obama and Vice President Joe Biden that those documents were fake. They told them that Hillary Clinton paid for it and it was all fabricated. Now, normally when that situation happens, what does the president do? He goes and admonishes Hillary Clinton for creating all of these fake narratives in order to beat a political opponent. But that's not what they did. President Barack Obama, even after he received documentation from the FBI and CIA, he got someone to write out a memo and say, okay, you guys, now let's basically fabricate something stating that President Trump did have a relationship with Russia. That was the crime. The crime was that a sitting president of the United States, because at that time he was still president, a sitting president of the United States created, manufactured what was a conspiracy. He manufactured it. It did not exist. Both the CIA and the FBI and other intelligence entities told him this is not true. Hillary just made this up. But instead of him doing what a president is supposed to do, President Barack Obama continued with it, and they have the emails. And people like, well, they don't have documentation. Yes, they do. This is what Tulsi Gabbard released. She released the memo where President Obama says we need to basically create this information that does not exist. That is the whole gist of the story. And then, even after they manufactured the information, they paid Robert Mueller to do a special investigation of President Trump and his relationship with Russia. And everyone involved knew that it was fake. Everyone knew that it was manufactured. The Mueller investigation cost us over $32 million. Then when his was over, they got Durham to do an investigation himself, and it was over $10 million. So for 7 years, this just ended in 2023. They paid people to create and to go along with this fake information. And that is the crime. So for all of the people out here saying, well, they didn't really do anything. Let me tell you how bad it was. A sitting U.S. president created documents that he knew were fake. They were manufactured by him and his intelligence community.
Can we just give that woman right there a round of applause, warriors? Okay, that's the gist of it. The fact that a sitting president was doing that. Okay, and this was prior to the actual election. Prior to, maybe they were just trying to ensure, I'm sure they were trying to ensure, Hillary Clinton's victory, and they seemed so confident. Well, some confidence must have left the building at some point for them to think that they needed to do this. Okay, everything was made up. Former President Obama knew everything was fake. Everybody around him knew it was fake. They were all in on it. Okay, so let me just say this, and I'm gonna let the other people speak. Obama was not really for Black Americans. I'm sure a lot of you realize that now, because a lot of Black people voted for him the first time, but not the second time. Why is that? Is it because they realized that he didn't really do anything, and he's not an FBA, Foundational Black American? Some people say he was allegedly not even born in this country. And again, I say allegedly. And there are a lot of things about Barack Obama's personal life that have also come into the forefront, now. Bathhouse. That's all I'm going to say. Bathhouse. That's what they call him. Barry. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we were given a fairy tale. Now, I myself never voted for Barack Obama. The Lord spoke to me about him, being a Muslim. So I'm just like, God doesn't lie. And, sometimes you wonder if you're you're spiritually aware enough to know what is happening. But I was able to, by the grace of God, discern that this man was evil, and he was placed upon this nation to turn our nation away from God. And we're seeing the effects of that rotten fruit. We have to judge a tree by the fruit that it bears. We're seeing the results of that rotten fruit right now, with a lot of Muslims on the Democrat side of the political aisle, I might add, with someone running for mayor in Minneapolis, someone else in New York City. Then you have Congress people who are Muslim. You've got this call to prayer that is going out in certain urban areas. They're talking about Sharia law, building Epic City, somewhere in Texas. I can't remember where it is. I think it's right outside of Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. So we're seeing the results of Obama's fruit. That is why my nickname for him is Abomination. Now let's hear from some more folks.
I believe he did let us down. And it's not, well, it is for me directly. I was about to say it's not personally for me directly, because the moment he stepped down, they passed the Asian crime bill. His vice president, Joe Biden. You could have pushed that for us. We've been fighting for that since civil rights. You see what I'm saying? And the first time it came across the desk for Biden, they signed off on it. Even if you did nothing else for us, with all the allegations, if you would have did that, you did something.
But I think like I told you earlier, with him being president, they was gonna, well, let me take that back, because guess what? We have a president right now that's showing us that
he don't give it. That's what I'm. That's what I'm saying.
You're right. My bad.
It's like just
Because
like anything
Trump's showing
else. You can tell somebody, okay, when I get in office, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. Then you get in, you go against the grain. Would there be consequences and repercussions? Sure, absolutely. But however, it's already done.
Yeah.
So now you just got to deal with it. I think it's just one of those things where it's like, hey man, I'm here. I didn't do nothing. Let me at least do something. If these people do what they do with me, the powers that be, it just is what it is.
But let's be realistic. What did he do for black people?
Absolutely nothing. This is what I'm saying. Nothing that
I'm thinking
directly
about it,
affected or helped us.
He never did nothing for us, really. Besides just him being black, that's it.
Yes, that's the thing. A lot of times, black people, we get caught up in our feelings and get emotionalized. I'm going to read to you some of these comments. Now, Barack Obama could also use his power as president back then, using an executive order. He could have done that. He did not have to wait for Congress. It would have been overturned by the next presidency, more than likely, but still, that would have been something to show good faith, right? But he did not even do that. And then you have these comments. The Senate refused to pass the bill. Yeah, right. Mitch McConnell had a lot to do with it, trying to blame it on a Republican. And I'm not a fan of Mitch. An understanding of basic U.S. government would help. I encourage every American, red or blue, conservative or liberal, to please take a civics course and learn how bills become law and the difference between an executive order and amendment and a bill. Someone else said, gentlemen, stop concentrating on one person. Trump is not your enemy. Your enemy existed before Trump was born. This country is anti-black, always has been, always will be, and they say, stop expecting the government to do something for black people. Why y'all still coping? Why does a president have to do anything for one specific group? America is us. Take another look at some more folks and see what they have to say. And I'm just going to really go in on Barack Obama when these comments finish. Yes, I'm going to give some deep commentary, and I got to use some very creative language.
Obama, at this point, it's clear that you don't care and you just want everyone to see who you truly are. So just recently, Barack Obama would go on a Zoom call where he would show his support to a group of State House Democrats who fled from Texas to Illinois. In the midst of him showing his support to these people, you can see a stone-like object in the background with some very weird symbols on it, specifically meaning boy lover. Y'all must remember that these people follow the laws of karmic retribution, meaning they have to show us what they're doing or they're going to face bad karma for it.
I gotta be honest about Barack Obama. There's no point in having an accountability archive where you're gonna hold content creators to a certain standard if you're not gonna talk about Barack Obama and how he portrayed Palestinians, how he portrayed black people, and his views on reparations and his love of the police. First of all, I'm gonna say Donald Trump. If I had to pick, I'd pick Barack Obama. But however, Barack Obama, the one thing the black community just doesn't want to admit to is that there's not much difference between him and a corrupt African leader. He don't come from the lineage here, from the soil. And so when it came to reparations, he didn't want to do it, but he had no problems bombing black countries. Go ask Yemen. When it came to empowering the police, this guy funded the police at the time at a historic rate, even over George Bush. He promised to give every police and sheriff's department in the country body cameras. So how come there's some now who still don't have them? The whole black to blue thing, that started under Obama, a lot of that stuff. So I just want you to understand that when it comes to corruption, but Barack Obama really wasn't all that different. I mean, a lot of you have this really, really weird romantic view of him. Like you just don't want to be truthful. Keep it a buck. Be honest about what you're seeing. Barack Obama, say in the modern day, you have a foundational black American or someone who's ADOS or a black descendant of American slaves. They were to ask a person, do you support the police? And the person says yes. And you ask them, are you for reparations? The person says, oh, it's not the right time. No, not the right time. How would we judge that person right now? And then we also ask that person a third question. Hey, have you bombed black countries? Yeah. Wait a minute. So you bomb black countries, you're against reparations, and you back the blue with dollars, big dollars. Oh, by the way, the whole back the blue thing, a lot of that started under Mike Brown. What happened with Mike Brown?
I loved Obama. I loved Michelle. I bought her book. I loved their girls. They were so beautiful. I loved everything about them. Anytime somebody said something negative about them, especially a black person, oh, it made me so mad. I'm like, we can never have anything without y'all asses always complaining. I was so proud to vote for Obama. I was filled with so much hope, so much optimism. And when he finally won, oh my God, what an incredible feeling. We black people were now turning a corner. Finally, after so many years, after so many centuries of struggling for survival, finally, well, it didn't quite work out the way that I had imagined it would. Nothing really changed for us at all. We were still getting killed in the streets. We were still struggling to survive. Obama, in neither one of his terms, did anything to specifically, to deliberately help black people. And people say it's because he didn't have Congress behind him. He somehow found a way to do things for other groups of people. But even worse than that, Obama and his administration, they did some horrible things in Syria, in Libya. He approved the assassination of Gaddafi. And at the time, I believe the story they gave us, that Gaddafi was an evil dictator torturing his people. The exact same story that they gave us for Saddam. And as I learned more and more about what Gaddafi was trying to do for Libya, what he was trying to do to unite Africa, I was like, oh my God, what did he do? And then my rose-colored glasses started to fade. The absolute disillusionment set in. And I realized that Obama was just another politician, just like all the other politicians that I had voted for. No one is coming to save us. Not Democrats, not Republicans. We have to save ourselves.
Wow. Wow, that last one. Shoot, I was never hyped into Obama, which I just spoke a few moments ago. Now, that one man said that Obama was a tether president, and a tether means a leash, a constraint, that he was constrained and had a leash on him. And that goes along with the establishment, you know, the folks in the background. Now, everything that was done with Obama was meant to trick us. I'm just going to be honest. He was really just another puppet. He was a smooth talker. Allegedly, people say he was born somewhere else. They say he was born in Kenya. We'll just leave that alone. I'm just letting you know what's been said out there, and about his orientation, and about his wife, that she's really not a wife in the traditional sense. I'll just put it like that. And those girls, well, let's just put it like this. They look exactly like another couple that's close to the Obamas, allegedly. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. So it looks like this was a pipe dream. This was a fairy tale. And Black people, we are so emotional about skin color. Yes, we fell for it, not me personally, but we fell for it hook, line, and sinker. Okay, and that's what we get for being too emotional. Instead of looking at a person's track record, instead of looking at them for their policies, instead of looking at them for their inner person, we too busy looking at the outside. And God is like, how many times do I have to tell you all? You're being very, very slow. Don't look at the outer appearance. The Bible even says that. Don't look at a man's outer appearance. The Bible says God doesn't look at a man's outer appearance, that he looks at a man's heart. Look at the heart, and you can judge it by the fruit that they bear, what they actually end up doing. Now, that's very interesting about that piece of pottery behind Obama while he was on that Zoom call, and what that man said it stood for. I didn't say it. I did not say it. Allegedly, to everything in this video, that is what that person said. Not me. Don't say, Linda B, you said. No, I didn't. That was that man. But yes, Barack Obama was put up to get the work of the folks in the background done. Racial division, wars, chaos, and do nothing for African Americans. Just let them think that you are. Truth be told, President Trump has done more. And one of those clips, two young men hinted towards, well, Trump, now we got somebody now. He didn't finish his thought, but I believe he was going to say Trump did some things that Barack Obama did not even do. That is wild. And some people are saying, you know, he didn't have the Senate, didn't pass that. That's not true. He had the House and the Senate at one point in favor of Democrats. And he could have done an executive order. So what's y'all's excuse for him not doing an executive order? And the reason he did not do those things because he was never going to do them. He made y'all think he was going to do them. He let everybody think whatever they thought. He did not come out and say, I'm not able to do that because of the puppet masters in the background. I'm not able to do those things. See, a lot of these politicians are controlled, but I'm gonna tell you something right now. The main reason that they do not like the current president, Donald J. Trump, is because he's no puppet. He cannot be controlled. He wants to do what he wants to do, what's best for the country. He realizes his life could be very much be in danger, but he is divinely protected. So worry not, warriors. Those of you who are Trump supporters, I'm a God supporter. I'm online, you know, I'm down with whatever God wants. That's how I roll over here at Chat With Me, Linda B. I am a God person. Okay, yes, I support a lot of the policies of President Trump, but I don't agree with everything. Some things I just may not understand. But he is not your traditional politician. He is more of a businessman. He looks at things not just from a policy perspective, but he is looking at it like, how can America, our people in America, benefit financially? What do we get out of this? And some people don't realize that he's really a businessman. And that's just how it is. But you all tell me what you think in the comments below. What do you think about Barack Obama? He was a smooth talker. He was a smooth talker. And there's so much about his background that may actually come out. And for everybody, I mean, it might actually come out into the mainstream. And then what are those Obama supporters going to do? We're going to have to let them cry on our shoulders. Poor little pups. Poor little things, bless their hearts. They're going to need some comfort. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Don't forget that I am here on Mondays through Thursdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube, doing a live show. It's very interactive with the Warrior family. I highlight your comments, answer your questions. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, the United States of America, and march on, Warriors.